What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. It's the second Galaxy S2 member of the AT&T lineup. It packs a few things that its regular Galaxy S2 brother does not. Let's go ahead, dig in, and see if this is the right phone for you. So before I get into the full review, let me remind you of the specs of this guy, because there is a lot of stuff packed into a pretty thin little package. So it's first LTE compatible. It's one of two LTE devices with the HTC Vivid that works on AT&T's just launched and now slowly becoming more popular LTE network. It also has support for HSPA+ if you don't live in an LTE market like me. It's got a 4.5-inch diagonal AMOLED Plus display with the same resolution of its smaller Galaxy S2 brother on AT&T of 480 by 800. It's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, and that's the Qualcomm-built Snapdragon variety. On the backside, it's got an 8-megapixel camera with a single LED flash that can shoot 1080p video. On the front, it ups the front camera game with a 2-megapixel sensor that lives on the front. It's going to be available, or it is available, for about $249 on a 2-year contract. Although, coming to the holiday season, chances are this guy is going to get a nice discount. It's running Android 2.3.5, so that's, of course, Gingerbread. 16 gigs onboard memory, and you can expand that via micro USB with a pretty large 1,850 milliamp hour battery. And take a deep breath. So now you know what's in this phone. Let's go and talk about whether or not this is the right phone for you. And let's talk about call quality. Call quality on this guy was pretty decent. I didn't have any white noise on my end. Color didn't have any white noise on their end. We didn't have any popping, although there was a slight hiss in the call quality department. I heard it on about 6 to 7 of my 20 call tests, and I did have 2 dropped calls during that test. AT&T has been doing much better with dropped calls. The past few phones I've tested, I haven't had any, so this one might have a bit of a worry when it comes to the signal. Let me go ahead and show you a little sample of what that sounds like. Go ahead and jump on into the dialer, hit 611. You'll also be able to hear what the speaker sounds like. So go ahead and let that dial. Go ahead and kick the speaker on. It's got a cool feature too. When the phone rings, if you flip it over, it'll automatically mute the phone for you. So you can hear a bit what the speaker sounds like, and you can see what the call interface is there. HTC is that same thing as well. You flip it over and it hops on into speaker if you're on a call, or we'll mute it for you. Oh, that's kind of neat. So call quality, pretty decent. Not the best, though, out of the AT&T phones that I've tested recently. Let's talk a bit now about the design. This is a larger phone, a 4.5-inch screen, and it gives a pretty big footprint. So it's 4.5 inches tall, 2.75 inches wide, and about 0.37 inches on the thickness department. It's going to take up a decent amount of room in your pocket. So if you do wear very skinny jeans, you might want to try this in your pocket first. Because you sit down, you might give it a little bit of flex. Even though it's got Gorilla Glass and it's a pretty durable phone, it's going to create a very, very noticeable, I guess jokes intended, bulge in your pocket. It also feels a little bit on the cheap side. Samsung packs tremendous processor and specs in their phones, but they also use sometimes low-quality plastic. This guy feels a little bit higher quality than the Galaxy S2 for AT&T, at least the one that came into the US shores. It's a little bit thicker plastic. The battery sits flush with the battery door, so you don't hear sort of that hollow noise, but this is plastic all around. You definitely feel like it's a plastic phone. It doesn't feel like the highest quality of devices out there, especially when you compare it to the metal accents of the HTC devices. However, one of the benefits of that, though, is that it weighs much less. So you're going to be able to carry this phone around with this larger footprint with a little bit less weight, coming in at just 4.6 ounces. So that's a little bit nitpicky, and it's definitely a personal preference. The screen here is Super AMOLED Plus, and it's a tremendous display. We've seen it many times. Text, for example, you can see right here, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's crisp, it's clear. Images also look tremendous. If you zoom in on an image, or then that picture you took with the 8-megapixel camera, things always look great. Resolution-wise, though, we're still stuck at the same resolution at 480 by 800, or 800 by 480, which for someone like me with not the best eyes is great. I like things to look a little bit bigger, but if you're very into resolution in this dawn of 720p displays, you may want to look elsewhere. It was never an issue for my eyes, but I definitely see how others might want a device with higher resolution, especially as applications start taking advantage of more pixels. So I'll go ahead and jump back. And actually I moved to the side here. So this is a white background. You can still see there's a little bit of a blue tint that we've seen on AMOLED and AMOLED Plus and Super AMOLED Plus and other variations of the AMOLED technology. It's not as prevalent as we've seen on previous iterations, but it's definitely there and you get used to it very, very quickly. You'll really notice if you hold your phone up against another device that perhaps doesn't have that same backing. So if I, for example, were to bring in my iPhone 4, throw it on the side there, you can sort of see a little bit of a blue tint on that screen. Not a giant deal. So the operating system this is running is Android Gingerbread 2.3.5 with TouchWiz 4.0, and TouchWiz is Samsung's proprietary skin, and that brings a lot of sort of fun stuff here. Some of the stuff that we've seen on previous version of TouchWiz. So if you pull down the menu, this is one of my favorite features, the immediate toggle for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, flight mode, screen rotation, and the rest. Go ahead and pull that off, and if you go look to where you go ahead and add some widgets, so if you long press on the screen, you get now a nice four-way bar here. You can pick what you want to do, and you get a ton of Samsung-specific widgets. You can see them here. As I go and scroll through, Buddies, Bookmarks, Applications Monitor, Classic Clocks. There's a bit of animation too, a little bit of a 3D effect as you scroll through. Overall, the TouchWiz 4.0 doesn't bring that much. It brought a lot of subtle OS tweaks and new animations that really take advantage of the raw horsepower of this phone. All right, so speaking of raw horsepower, let's go ahead and talk about speed. It's a fast phone, but it's not blazing fast. I did get a quadrant score of 2,561, which isn't always the most scientific way to test phones, but is what I use in all of my devices. A lot has been made that this uses Qualcomm's chipset as opposed to the Exynos, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, chipset that is in the regular Samsung Galaxy S2. Despite a faster clock speed here of 1.5 gigahertz, doesn't always necessarily mean a faster experience using the phone. That's sort of how it ties in with graphics and the GPU and such. But this phone for everyday use and gaming is plenty fast and pretty quick. It's not going to set the world on fire, but opening applications, I had no issue. I didn't have any slowdown. I didn't have to go into any task manager and shut things down. Things just worked very nicely. And you can see it there with that Giga RAM on board really, really helps. So things are very quick. Scrolling through, applications open up without a problem. All your games you're going to be able to play without any issue. So we'll go ahead and jump back. This is LTE capable, as I mentioned, and certainly LTE is expanding as we speak into more markets. I don't, unfortunately, have LTE where I live, but people are reporting speeds in the 12 down to 5 up range, and certainly that's on uncongested networks since there aren't that many LTE devices out there. It's also HSPA Plus compatible. I generally got speeds around 3 down and about 0.75 up, but again, that's going to depend on where in the country you live. So let's sort of wrap this up. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about camera very quickly before I do. We'll go ahead and jump into camera here. The camera shots actually were pretty decent. You get a lot of effects here in the camera as well, and things that you can manipulate and change. You can change the white balance, you change the ISO. There's some color effects here, and it was pretty good in low light actually. Go ahead and snap an image. Go ahead and take a quick picture. It'll autofocus if you tap the screen. Let's go ahead and jump into settings and show you what I was just talking about. So you can see some of the shortcuts, shooting modes, scene modes, exposure value, timer, effects, resolution, white balance, ISO, image quality, GPS, and shutter sounds. A lot of stuff you can customize. Let's go ahead and put this back. So as you're looking to get a phone and you're not sure what to get, certainly some confusion between the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket and the Galaxy S2. So let me help shed some light onto which one you should get if you're deciding between those two and which one I would get. So for my personal use, the fastest phone available doesn't mean that much to me, or at least the fastest theoretical phone doesn't mean that much to me. If that means a lot to you as far as processor, you're going to want to look at the original Galaxy S2. If speed matters to you most as far as network connection, you're going to want to look at the Skyrocket because it does have LTE capabilities. Now, even if LTE is not where you live right now, chances are it will be within the 2 years of your contract, and something to really keep in mind as you look for a phone that's going to keep you for the next 2 years. This phone is plenty fast. It's by no means a slow phone, and if we were in a world where the regular Galaxy S2 didn't exist, I'd probably say this is one of the fastest Android phones in AT&T's lineup. Despite the questionable build and plastic material choices, it is a pretty solid phone and represents a great choice for those in AT&T. However, this is a big however, it is running gingerbread in an ice cream sandwich world. We are on the dawn of the Galaxy Nexus and other ice cream sandwich phones coming. Samsung hasn't said specifically whether or not this device is going to get ice cream sandwich. They have said the Galaxy S2 phones will, so presumably it will make its way here to the Skyrocket, but you're going to have to wait. And if you don't mind having the the second generation operating system, or one that's not the most recent generation, go for this. If you want to wait for ice cream sandwich to work out its bugs by the time Samsung gets it to the Skyrocket, then you're going to want to go for this. If you want to have the latest and the greatest and you want those features of ice cream sandwich that we've covered, you're going to want to wait a little while. AT&T has announced that they're going to be carrying the Galaxy Nexus. However, a pentaband unlocked version using HSPA Plus will be available. Or you might want to look at the Verizon Galaxy Nexus that's going to be coming with LTE capabilities. So there's a lot to weigh in, a lot of options as you figure out which phone's right for you. If you decide to jump on board the Skyrocket, you're going to get a great phone. And you're going to get a phone that's going to perform very well and perform admirably over the next 2 years. But you've got to weigh the pros and the cons. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review of the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Be sure to check us out for all of your tech news, reviews, unboxings, and such. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.